You know what I've learned? Perfection is the biggest lie we've ever been sold. We're told to avoid mistakes like they're poison. But here's the truth. Mistakes aren't poison. They're medicine. They burn when they hit you, but they heal you if you let them. Let's talk about it. You know what I've learned? Perfection is the biggest lie we've ever been sold. We've been trained since childhood to color inside the lines, to play safe, to avoid falling. But every time you avoid falling, you avoid learning how to rise up. And that's the real tragedy. Mistakes aren't the enemy. They're the greatest teachers life has. They're not a sign that you failed. They're proof that you've retreated. The people who never make mistakes are the ones who never take real risks. They never put themselves on the line, never stretch beyond comfort, never grow into who they could be. The most successful, the most powerful people you'll ever meet are the ones with scars from the times they got it wrong and learned how to make that wrong work for them. Mistakes don't break you, they reveal you. They strip away the surface, the polish, the performance, and they show you who you really are underneath it all. When everything's going right, it's easy to look confident, easy to sound strong. But when things fall apart, when your plans collapse, when people start doubting you, that's when you find out what you're really made of. It's raw, it's uncomfortable, but it's real. In that moment of failure, you meet the version of yourself that no success could ever introduce you to. The one who's still standing when the applause fades, the one who has to face the mirror and ask, who am I now? And that moment, as painful as it feels, is sacred. Because it's where the old version of you ends and the true one begins. When I say mistakes reveal you, I don't just mean they show you your limits. They also show you your potential. Think about it. Every mistake carries a message. Maybe it's showing you that you've been playing too small. Maybe it's telling you that the people around you don't align with your growth. Or maybe it's teaching you patience, resilience, courage, the quiet qualities that can't be taught in comfort. When you look beyond the embarrassment and the sting, you start to see the pattern. You realize that every misstep was guiding you, not punishing you. The times you thought life was against you, life was just teaching you to strengthen the muscles you need for what's coming next. Mistakes don't destroy your path, they redefine it. Here's the thing. Most people waste their mistakes. They get stuck replaying them in their heads like a broken record, drowning in guilt and regret. They label themselves by their lowest moment instead of what they learned from it. But you have a choice. You can keep carrying your mistakes like a burden, or you can wear them like armor. The only difference between people who rise and people who stay stuck is how they interpret what went wrong. One person sees a wall, the other sees a lesson. One says, "This broke me," the other says, "This built me." The situation doesn't change, but the story you tell yourself does. And that story has the power to either trap you or transform you. You have to understand, mistakes are not an end. They're the beginning of mastery. Every person who's ever achieved something extraordinary failed at it first. The writer who couldn't get published, the athlete who lost before they won, the entrepreneur whose first idea flopped. The difference is, they didn't let the mistake define their worth. They studied it, they dissected it, they used it. Because when you start treating your mistakes as data instead of defeat, everything changes. You stop fearing them. You start seeking the lesson inside them. You learn faster. You grow faster. You start to play at a level that most people never reach. Because you're no longer afraid to fall. And here's the most powerful truth of all. Mistakes reveal not just your strength, but your heart. They show what you care about enough to fight for, to risk for, to fall for. They show your courage to try again, even when you're bruised. They expose your authenticity. Because perfection might impress people, but honesty connects with them. When you own your mistakes, when you speak about them without shame, you become relatable, real, human. And people respond to that. They feel your truth. They trust your growth. Because we all make mistakes, but few of us turn them into wisdom. Few of us rise with grace, power, and self-awareness on the other side of failure. So don't fear your mistakes. Don't run from them. Stand tall in them. Let them refine you, not define you. Let them build your strength, your clarity, your courage. The person who learns from their mistakes will always outgrow the person who hides from them. You will fall, you will fail, but if you choose to learn, you will also arise stronger, wiser, unstoppable. Because every mistake is not the end of your story, it's the chapter where your real story begins. Because the truth is this, you don't find your power in the moments you get it right. You find it in the moments you get it wrong and choose to rise anyway. Most people think failure happens when you make a mistake. But that's not true. The real failure begins when you refuse to admit that mistake. When you hide it, deny it, or pretend it didn't happen. Because the moment you start protecting your ego instead of protecting your growth, you stop evolving. Denial is the silent killer of progress. It convinces you that you're fine when you're not, that you're right when you're wrong, that you're in control when you're falling apart. It builds walls where there should be windows, and those walls keep you stuck in a loop, repeating the same patterns over and over again, different faces, different places, but the same mistakes. If you want to break free, you have to face the truth head on, because denial doesn't protect you, it imprisons you. The hardest thing in the world is to look at yourself and say, I messed up. We're taught that admitting fault means losing power. But the truth is, it's the opposite. Owning your mistake doesn't weaken you, it strengthens you. It tells the world that your worth isn't tied to your perfection. It shows that you have the courage to see yourself clearly, flaws and all, and still move forward. The people who grow are the ones who can say, yes, I failed there, I hurt someone there, I got it wrong. They don't justify, they don't hide, they don't shift the blame. They take it all in, learn, and evolve. Because accountability isn't about guilt, it's about growth. It's the moment you stop running from your reflection and start rebuilding from it. There's a quiet power that comes when you take responsibility for your actions. When you stop playing defense and start standing in truth. Because once you own your story, no one can weaponize it against you. The moment you say, yes, I did that, but here's what I learned, you take back every ounce of power that shame tried to steal from you. You become untouchable. People can gossip, judge, criticize, but none of it sticks because you've already spoken your truth. And truth is armor. It doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you're real. It means you're no longer living for approval, but for authenticity. And when you live authentically, you move through the world differently. You walk lighter, you speak clearer, you sleep better. Because honesty is freedom, and freedom feels like peace. But let's be honest, owning your mistakes is hard because it forces you to confront the parts of yourself you don't like. The insecurities, the fears, the patterns you thought you'd outgrown. It's easier to point fingers than to look in the mirror. Easier to say, they made me, instead of, I chose that. But real transformation starts the moment you stop explaining and start examining. Ask yourself, oh, why did I make a decision? What was I trying to prove? What fear was I avoiding? These questions sting. They strip away your comfort, but they also reveal your truth. And the truth, even when it hurts, is a gift. Because the parts of you that you're willing to face are the parts that you can finally change. When you live in denial, you rob yourself of lessons that could have changed your entire life. Every mistake carries a message meant just for you, but you can't receive it if you're too busy pretending it never happened. Think of all the times you could have avoided pain. If only you had listened to what your last failure was trying to teach you. Life keeps repeating the same lessons until you learn them. The same kind of heartbreak, the same kind of disappointment, the same kind of loss. It's not punishment, it's feedback. Life will whisper, then nudge, then shout until you finally pay attention. And the moment you do, that's when you shift. That's when you start making choices that come from awareness instead of avoidance. Owning your mistakes is the most powerful act of self-respect you can practice. It means you believe you are strong enough to look at your flaws without collapsing under them. It means you trust yourself enough to grow past them. Everyone wants to evolve, but evolution requires truth, and truth requires humility. You can't build a better version of yourself on top of lies. You can't expand while pretending to be perfect. Growth demands honesty, and honesty demands courage. The kind of courage that looks yourself in the eye and says, I did that, I was wrong, but that's not who I am anymore. That statement is not weakness, it's transformation in its purest form. It's the sound of strength being born. So let the world see that you are not afraid to own your past. Speak it, claim it, learn from it. Let your honesty echo louder than your mistakes ever could. Because denial may feel safe, but truth is liberating. When you tell the truth, you don't have to run from anything. You stand taller, you move faster, you become lighter. You stop living in the shadow of your mistakes and start walking in the light of your lessons. Because the only real failure is pretending you've never failed. And the moment you choose truth over denial, you step into a power that can never be taken from you. A mistake is not the end of the road. It's a map. It points, it directs, it whispers that this way isn't working, try another. But too often we treat mistakes as evidence that we're lost, when really they're the clearest signs of direction life could ever give us. Every time something falls apart, life is redrawing the map for you. You didn't fail. You just found a route that doesn't lead where you thought it would. But that's the beauty of mistakes. They refine your route, not your worth. They push you off paths that aren't meant for you and onto ones that hold your true purpose. Every closed door, every rejection, every setback, it's not a dead end, it's a redirection. The map just got updated, and you have to trust the journey even when you don't see the full picture yet. When you shift how you see your mistakes, you start to see that nothing is ever wasted. That wrong turn you took, it taught you something your comfort never could. That decision you regret, it sharpened your discernment. That person who broke you, they revealed your boundaries. You were never off track, you were being shaped for something deeper. Every misstep carries data. It tells you what aligns with you, what drains you, what fuels you, what you need more of, and what you need to let go of. Life's greatest lessons don't come wrapped in perfection, they come wrapped in discomfort. Because when everything goes right, you celebrate. But when everything goes wrong, you evolve. And that evolution, that awareness, that is your map guiding you forward. Sometimes, the map that mistakes draw doesn't make sense in the moment. You lose a job and it feels like the world is ending. You fail an exam and it feels like your dream is slipping away. You end a relationship and it feels like love just doesn't work for you. But months or years later, you look back and realize if that door hadn't closed, you would have missed the door that opened. You wouldn't have discovered your resilience. You wouldn't have found your real passion. You wouldn't have understood what love really means. Mistakes feel like destruction, but they're actually construction in disguise. They're tearing down the version of your life that wasn't serving you to make space for the one that will. Life isn't punishing you when you fall. It's rerouting you toward alignment, toward purpose, toward truth. There's power in decoding your mistakes instead of running from them. When something doesn't work, don't just walk away. Ask why. What belief led me there? What fear made me say yes when I meant no? What pattern keeps showing up again and again? Every mistake is feedback. It's not shouting, you're not enough. It's whispering, you're learning. But to hear it, you have to stop judging yourself and start listening. Because when you listen to what your mistakes are trying to tell you, you realize they've been guiding you all along. Every challenge becomes a compass. Every failure becomes a signal. And slowly, step by step, your mistakes start turning into your greatest mentors. You'll notice something beautiful when you start following the lessons hidden in your mistakes. You stop fearing them. Fear loses its grip because you begin to see the pattern. Every time you fall, you grow stronger. Every time you mess up, you learn faster. Mistakes stop feeling like enemies and start feeling like partners in progress. They teach you to pay attention, to adapt, to stay humble. You stop chasing perfection and start chasing understanding. You stop trying to avoid pain and start mining it for wisdom. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this trying to show me? That's when you become unstoppable, because you're no longer afraid of what could go wrong. You've learned that even when it does, it's still working for you, not against you. Life doesn't give you maps with straight lines. It gives you lessons disguised as wrong turns. It gives you storms that force you to build shelter. It gives you mistakes that shape your wisdom. And the more you live, the more you realize every so-called mistake you made was part of the plan. Every time you thought you were lost, you were just being redirected to where you needed to be. You don't need to be ashamed of the paths you took. They're proof that you were brave enough to take them. They're proof that you were willing to move, to try, to live. That's what life demands from you. Not perfection, but participation. To show up, to mess up, to learn, and to grow. Because the truth is, mistakes are not detours, they are directions. And once you learn to read the map they draw, you realize you were never lost. You were just being led home to yourself. Tate, you want wisdom? You want depth? You want the kind of strength that doesn't crumble under pressure? Then you need to understand this. Pain is the price of perspective. You can't learn resilience in comfort. You can't build courage in safety. You can't find clarity in constant calm. The moments that shape you most are the ones that shake you hardest. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every loss, every failure. They hurt for a reason. Because pain isn't punishment. Pain is preparation. It strips away illusion. It clears out what's fake. It forces you to face what's real. You don't evolve when things are easy. You evolve when life forces you to stand in the fire and still choose to rise. That fire doesn't destroy you. It forges you. Pain changes the way you see everything. It slows you down long enough to listen to your life. Before pain, you think you know who you are. You think you know what matters. You think you've got it all figured out. But then life hits you hard. And suddenly the world looks different. You start noticing the details you once ignored. You appreciate silence more. You value peace over applause. You understand that time is not endless and people are not permanent. Pain gives you perspective that comfort never could. It teaches you empathy because you've been there. It humbles you because you realize how fragile everything really is. It makes you see that strength isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the whisper that says, keep going, when everything in you wants to quit. But here's what most people miss. Pain doesn't automatically make you wiser. It's what you do with it that does. Some people get bitter, some get better. The pain that breaks one person builds another. The difference lies in choice. You can let pain close you, or you can let it crack you open. You can numb it, deny it, bury it, or you can sit with it, breathe through it, and ask, what is this trying to teach me? That question changes everything, because the moment you stop running from pain and start learning from it, it becomes your greatest ally. Pain is a teacher that speaks the truth no one else will. It shows you where you've been avoiding yourself. It reveals what needs healing. And if you're brave enough to listen, it will guide you to wisdom you could never gain from ease. We live in a world obsessed with avoiding pain. We distract ourselves, we drown ourselves in noise, we rush to fix everything the moment it hurts. But sometimes the pain isn't meant to be fixed. It's meant to be felt. It's meant to be honored, understood, integrated. You can't skip the lessons by silencing the feeling. You can't outrun what's meant to teach you. When you allow yourself to truly feel, to sit in that discomfort, something shifts. You stop resisting life and start flowing with it. You realize that pain isn't the opposite of joy, it's the doorway to it. Because when you've known deep pain, even the smallest joys become sacred. The sunrise feels different, the laughter hits deeper, the love feels more real. You stop chasing happiness and start living with meaning, and one day, you'll look back and see it. You'll see that the pain you thought would break you was actually building you. You'll see that it gave you the strength to set boundaries, the clarity to walk away from what wasn't for you, the courage to finally choose yourself. You'll see that the moments that felt like endings were actually beginnings. You'll realize that the pain you resisted the most was the one that grew you the most. Because every time you endured, you became someone new, more aware, more grounded, more compassionate. Pain doesn't leave you empty. It leaves you awake. It burns away who you were pretending to be, so that the real you can finally breathe. So the next time you find yourself in pain, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this trying to show me? Let the pain speak and then let it teach. Don't numb it, don't rush it. Let it carve the wisdom into you that comfort never could. Because the greatest strength you will ever carry doesn't come from the moments you smiled your way through life. It comes from the moments you cried, broke, rebuilt, and came out stronger. Every scar is a story. Every wound carries wisdom. And every ounce of pain you've survived has made you someone unshakable. Abhi, because pain isn't there to punish you. It's there to prepare you. And when you finally understand that, your pain stops being your weakness and becomes the very source of your power, Tote. Forgiving yourself is one of the hardest, most courageous things you'll ever do. We're taught to forgive others, to let go, to move on. But rarely do we learn how to extend that same compassion inward. We carry the weight of our past like a sentence we never finish serving. Every wrong decision, every failure, every missed opportunity, it follows us. We replay moments in our mind, rewriting them 1,000 times, wishing we could undo them. But forgiveness doesn't mean pretending the pain never happened. It means accepting that it did. And choosing to live free anyway. The past cannot be rewritten, but the story you tell yourself about it can be. You have to stop treating yourself like an enemy and start embracing yourself as a survivor. We all have moments we wish we could erase. The words we shouldn't have said,